All right, so today we're going to be looking at basically how to take an equation. Let's write this as the actual title. Equation to graph and back again. So the idea is that if we get given an equation, which we've worked with a lot, we need to be able to graph it. Or if we get a line on a graph, we need to be able to write what the equation is. So let's go back over what this equation means so we kind of know the basics. If I had an equation like this, y equals 3x plus 2. I know the start number is 2 and the change number is 3. And let's just think of a situation so that this makes sense. So let's say it's like the total amount of money I have is equal to 3 times the number of hours plus $2. So I started with $2 and I get $3 for every hour that passes. So let's make our table of values to start. If I work 0 hours, so right at the start, I haven't worked any hours. That means I have my $2 I started with in my pocket, whatever. If I work one more hour, I'm going to add $3. That's my change number. So I get my values there. It keeps going up by 3 every time. So what we're going to do to graph it is we're always going to start with that first value, that starting value. So it's always where x is 0. And if we look on the graph, x is 0 along the y-axis. It's somewhere here. That is a very thick line. It's somewhere along this. Okay, so what we're going to do is look for this number 2, y. That's right there. Careful, down here, that's -2, so it's not that one. Our first point, our starting number, is always going to be on this y-axis, no matter what the equation is. That's how it's always going to look. Then, we're going to use our change number. It's plus 3. So what's going to happen is I'm going to look here. I'm going to say, okay, I started with 0 hours. Let's say I had 1 hour. How much money would I have then? I know the change is plus 3, so then I'm going to go up 3. And at that spot, that's going to be my next point. I could do it again. I could say, well, if I worked 1 more hour, so now I'm at 2 hours. Then I go up by 3 more, and that would be my next point, and the pattern would continue. You can also connect them with a ruler to kind of show the pattern of what's going on. And that's basically it. Let's do one more example so we can see it. So we've got a situation, you're 9 kilometers from home, and you walk 2 kilometers towards home every hour. So let's say your starting distance is 9, you start 9 kilometers away, that's the start, and you get 2 closer every time, so it's going to be -2. So my start value, it's right here. I'm going to start at 9, so think where that's going to go. It goes right here. Well, we start on that y-axis, and then my change value is -2. So that means in the last graph, we went up, because we read it from left to right, we were going up and up and up and up and up. So in this graph, because it's negative, we're going to go down, 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 down. So we start from here, and I said, okay, we walk 1 hour. That means we're going to go down 2. We're going to get 2 kilometers closer to home. Another 1 hour, 2 closer to home. Now you can kind of see the pattern, 2, 2, 2. Okay? Connect those with a line. And that's it. That's our graph. The last thing we need to be able to do is take an actual graph that's given to us and turn it into an equation. I find a lot of students think this is easier. Let's always, as always, start with our start number. So our start number is going to be whatever the line, wherever the line touched the y-axis, which is right there. It's at 3. And I gotta remember, there's -3 down here, so it's going to be +3. I'm going to write +3 for my start number. Then I need to look to see what the change is. So if I went over 1 from there, how many up do I go? I go 1, 2, 3. Oh, I went at four numbers. So that means I'm going to put my 4x there. And that's my equation. That's it. 2 things to be careful of. 1, make sure you're reading the scale of your numbers here so you actually know what the numbers are. They're not always ones. And the second thing to be careful of, is if you have a graph like this, we'll do this. Okay. So looking at this one, is that the starting value? It is not. Because remember we said the starting value is always where it touches the 0, or where it touches the y-axis. So if we looked at this one, it would actually be here. That would be the start. Same thing if you had a line that went like this. Just say you had this line. Ruler's not cooperating. There we go. Close enough. Okay. if we had that line, that blue line, this is not the start value. It's not. Oops. Even though that's the first spot you see when you look at the graph, this is what we consider the start. It is when x is equal to 0. Okay? And that's it. That's graphing.